I'm pretty sure that there's one habit that people have that is silently blocking them from having results. And it's not lack of talent. It's also not the lack of ideas. It's this. They constantly negotiate with themselves. They constantly hesitate. They constantly step on the brakes and overthink things. And that's the moment when they lose momentum. You get an impulse. You want to send a message, make a call, start the thing. But then it happens. Your mind starts to take over. Oh, maybe it's weird. Oh, I don't know that person yet. No, this is too much. Oh, it's not going to make a difference. Maybe I should just think this through for a second. And in that moment, the momentum is gone. I used to overthink a lot of things. Perfect timing, perfect wording, perfect momentum. But it's not about being strategic all the time. Sometimes it's just about taking action. 2 days ago, it was pretty late at night. I had a moment when I reached out to someone. I kept on hearing his name constantly, and in that moment when I got home, I felt so inspired to just reach out. And I had his number because he's part of the same WhatsApp group, but we just never personally met. And so I just reached out to him, and before I knew it, I was sending him a voice note. And after I sent that voice note, I was thinking, this guy doesn't even know me, and here comes this stranger popping up on his WhatsApp, and then he sees a voice note. Let me also send him a typed message. And so I did, and I kind of explained myself, like, hey, I'm Ash, I'm one of the neighbors, I live in the same community, I've heard a lot about you, we have a lot of mutual friends and connections, and I would really appreciate it if you would listen to the voice note, etc., etc. He appreciated it, and the next day we actually ended up meeting together, and that led to even more than I could think of. And I was thinking about that, like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I don't overanalyze that much anymore. It's obviously important to sometimes see cause and effect, but it doesn't mean that it makes me stop my tracks. Usually I just act. One of the things that I like about those creators that interview very successful business people, they have these moments where they ask them, hey, what are your best tips for the people watching? And one of the tips that constantly on repeat would be shared is, I act fast. By the time someone else has the same idea or does the same thing, I already made so many mistakes that I already improved the service, I already tested so many things out, and I'm just so much further down the path than that other person because I'm not afraid to make mistakes and I'm not afraid to just act. And I thought that was so beautiful to hear because I knew that that was something I didn't do. I, in the past, would have, the perfect plan, the perfect wording, and the perfect branding, and the perfect this, and the perfect that. Or I would just have a lot of patience and wait for the perfect moment. Sometimes you have to disrupt things and just create that moment. And one of the things of, showing up daily on YouTube helped me with that. I don't have time to overanalyze and overthink what I'm going to talk about. It's like, boom, go. It has its disadvantages, don't get me wrong, but the good thing is I'm moving, I'm building momentum, and it also helps me in different areas of my life. Demonstrated just a few days ago by reaching out to a new connection that for me is a game changer. That it was a really good move that I did that, and I'm very grateful that I did that because I also am very, very aware that most people wouldn't. Most people would either ask the acquaintance to make the introduction and they have to wait, or, not even reach out in general because you kind of have to put yourself out there. It's kind of awkward. Who knows? But I was just thinking from the inspiration. I felt the impulse and I wanted to act on the impulse. And there's a magic thing about following the impulse. That's the magic, and I think that people that have experienced magic, and I call it magic, but it's like this moment where you feel that you're breaking a pattern and you're creating this opening because you're acting differently than you should, and you're not afraid to act on the impulses that you get because you're not overthinking things. You just take action. Inspired action is what people call it often too. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it doesn't really make sense, but you're not blocking it, you're just doing it. And this is what they always talk about in manifestations. You can think and wish and repeat things, but eventually there is this part called action that is needed. That is inspired action. It doesn't always make sense. That is the energy that I'm talking about, and it's very magical because it feels like you're interrupting a pattern, because you feel like, hey, There's something magical happening here, and that impulse is what I always refer to as this childlike energy, this curiosity of life, this excitement. Just to be clear, when you act on these impulses doesn't always mean that it will lead you to something. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that when you act on impulses, you gain this I don't give a F what others think and how I might be perceived. I trust my instincts. I trust that energy of go. I trust sending this message out. I trust taking action, etc., etc., you know? And that is what I talked about in the previous episode too. It's like it's to be in the game, to be in the movement, and not let circumstances or what life looks like now be a reason to stop, because we constantly get to change the outcome. And while you're in movement, anything can happen. You know, right now there's the World Cup playing, and I always say a ball is round. Like a ball can go anywhere. Even in the last minutes or seconds of a game, it can really change the outcome. But the point is this: if you act from your impulses, it doesn't always lead to something. But you are in movement. And you're actually building that je ne sais quoi energy where you're just doing it. You put yourself out there. You don't overthink. You're not constantly protecting yourself. You feel safe enough to just go for it and feel that, you know, the self-belief of, hey, why not? I'm going to go for what I want. Momentum is not created by the perfect decisions, even though we think we need to have it all perfectly figured out. It's not. It's created by the decisions you make, by actually following through, by actually acting, even if they're not perfect, especially if they're not perfect. If I would have sat down and think about how I would reach out to that guy, not only would I have lost momentum, it probably would have been so curated, so perfectly curated, that he wouldn't feel anything. But because I, in that moment, spoke exactly as I am, he could feel it. He could feel my energy. He actually said that to me, because I had a meeting with him this morning, a 7 a.m. meeting, because we both wake up early and before the kids and all the stuff, you know. So we had a 7 a.m. Coffee/matcha meeting, and he said that. He's like, you know, Ash, I really enjoyed meeting you, my wife too. And you know, he was talking about me and how I come across, the energy that I bring, and he sees that for a few reasons. One, because I showed up exactly as I am, and that is what happens when you go for the momentum, because you don't overthink things. You don't, you know, create the perfect wordings and scripting and all of that. You just push it out exactly as you are. And I was acting from my inspired action, which is, you know, to be inspired is to be in spirit. You show up as spirit. You show up as your true self. And therefore, it's so easy for others to either decide if they want to receive you or not, but also for yourself. Like, is this a match or not, you know? And yeah, people are always like, oh, we have to be formal, or we have to be informal, or we have to do this and that. And it's really important, because perception is everything. But there's your nuance. And sometimes it's just important to just show yourself exactly as you are. And that's what happens when you act impulsively. Like, we're not the 16-year-olds anymore. We have fully developed brains, right? So you know what's good and right. So I'm not referring to that, but I am referring to that inspired action and to ride that wave. Because that's the only way to actually make things work and make magic happen, to create that for you. And yesterday I talked about, you know, like this flight that's trying to fly out and the door is closed, or the window is closed, but he kept on trying. While the whole time there was a door open, all he had to do was turn around. But that was not a path he knows. He doesn't fly through a door, he flies through a window. So that's what he kept on trying. And that's what we kind of tend to do sometimes too. But if you want different results, or if you want to achieve anything in life, sometimes that means to walk an unpaved path, to look at things differently, to act impulsively and do things that you would normally not do, and create those opportunities for yourself. So here's one thing that you can start doing immediately. When you feel the impulse to do something, just do it. Do it so fast that you don't even give your monkey mind the chance to interrupt that pattern. Just do it. Just act. Even if you're busy or you have to do other stuff, if it's just a few minutes that it takes, like me sending a voice note out, Just do it. Go. Don't overthink it. Just put it out there. Act on it, even if it's in this raw form. Why? Just to break the pattern of negotiating every decision that you're about to make. Of course, sometimes it's really important to overthink things, to take a moment before you act, of course. But you will see the difference. You will know the nuance. And it's just important that you start acting when it is the time to act. Because it's the negotiation that is costing you your momentum. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you in tomorrow's episode.